Hi everyone, this is Diane, and I am so excited to show you these little journals that I just completed. I was excited to get working on these, and they were really, really fun. I can't wait to show you. They were a challenge too, obviously, because of the size. What are you going to put into little journals this size? Well, let's take a look at what the size is. This one is 2 7/8 by, I'm just going to measure up to there because that's the size of the book itself, 3 3/4. And this one, this spine, for some reason I cut this piece of board a little bit bigger than the first one I did. I didn't mean to, but this is 1 5/8 instead of 1 1/2. And on a tiny little book, it does make a difference. You can probably see the difference there. But the pages are all the same amount of pages and same amount of embellishment. I had a lot of fun adding these charms to the sides. I'm trying to get them all out here. I put an eyelet in there and a bulb pin, and then added some of these vintage pieces that I picked up at the flea markets. This little Cracker Jack toy. It says Lucky on it. And this bead, that's not vintage. It's a little charm that I made. And this license, I got a bunch of these licenses in one of these bags of little trinkets that I got. So that's a Maryland license there. I used some blue thread to bind it. And this is a dyed fabric, a muslin that I dyed with my Rit dye when I did a bunch of papers and stuff. So this is obviously a Milton Bradley crayons box, a vintage box. I don't know how old it is because there's no date on it, but it's definitely vintage and really, really fun. I had never seen Milton Bradley crayons before, and I just saw someone else. I can't remember. I'm thinking it was Danielle from 11 Dancing Dandelions, but I'm not sure if it was Danielle, but she is also making journals with the Milton Bradley crayon box, but hers are different. They might be newer, and I think they're wider from what I can tell. I haven't seen her working on them. I think she just showed the box, and there isn't this dip here. So speaking of the dip, this is a digital set from Rare Digital Papers on Etsy, and this is what the sheet looks like. So it's this whole box of crayons, and obviously I had to cut most of it off because I just wanted the crayons peeking out of the box. And then I backed it with another layer of cardstock to make these pointed crayons a little sturdier, and colored it with blue to match my fabric liner. I folded up the bottom flap to form a little pocket, but the other flaps were cut off. I did cut off the spine part of the box and made a bigger spine. So let's take a look. What did I put inside this tiny journal? A little label here, and just a slide you could do something with, and a little stamped tag. Keep the moment. And I have this stamp set, and I know I've shown it in other videos, but let me show it again. This is from Elizabeth Craft Designs, and it's a new one. And I got it before I had gotten the crayon boxes, so I didn't have this in mind when I got it, but it does have a crayon box, which is still on the stamping block, and other art supplies. So I did use some of those. This little girl came in a different set from Elizabeth Craft Designs, and she looks like she's going to school with her little books held with their leather strap. I colored her with colored pencil, and this also. I wanted a lot of things to stick off the pages to kind of give a little bit more volume in looks, in appearance to the book, and it's really fun. And oh, I was going to say, I had asked for ideas on what to do with how to fasten this closed, because it needs to be tied shut. and I have all these things sticking out, and I didn't want to ruin them. And that video just went up a little bit ago, so I haven't had a lot of comments on it yet, but I did have a couple comments, and I appreciate your input. But of course, I already have the journal done, and I decided to just, let me show you on this one, I just tied this vintage twine loosely around it so it's not bending anything. And that works. And that's easy. So I just use little scraps of paper, scrapbook paper and dyed paper scraps, and then I cut up small papers like game sheets. So on the inside here, I just have a little scrap of paper as a pocket and used a tiny Monopoly money, and this is a stamped piece. You can write a little note right there. And I did use a lot of digital ephemera from various sources. That's another digital, and this is a game card that went with the tiny Monopoly money. That was a travel Monopoly that I got in a Happy Mail. So I had to find a place to use them. This is a paper coaster, and it's got some Amish images and quotes. The hurrier I go, the behinder I get on this one. And there's some dyed paper. Here's a sheet out of this book, The Log of Amateur Radio Station. And it has the call numbers here. While engaged in portable and mobile operation. So some of these were written on, I had 2 of these books, and some of them had more writing, and then they both had blank pages. So that's what this page is. And I used a tiny paper clip to attach this sticky note for writing, and I covered up the sticky part with washi tape. And this beautiful, it's either French or Swiss, I mean German or Swiss card, I don't remember. I know they both use the same language, but I don't remember which country these cards came from. I got them at the flea market. I got 2 sets of them, different cards, and someone informed me way back when I bought them last year of what they were. Here's another one of those list papers. Again, I covered that with washi tape. This is from a Girl Scout book where the girls would keep track of their friends. Could put pictures in it. Just a little notepad. It's a Pioneer Woman little notepad. A scrap of teacher book. A beverage label. Sorry. Dyed paper. I folded it and added this quote, "Live a full life," a guest check, and a tiny doily. This is a girl cut from a crafting magazine, so this was a sewing pattern that you could buy and make the doll, and they showed her in various costumes, and I thought this was perfect with her little back-to-school jumper and her book and her braids. This is a digital, and I just thought it was fun. Looks like a receipt. I just thought it was fun to tuck it in there and have it sticking up. And then this is something I stamped and colored. Another beverage label. This was supposed to be sewn into the center of the book, and it got left out when I sewed it in, so I am just including it. I'm going to just clip it. This is another game score sheet. Let me get a paper clip out for this. I'll use this copper one here. So you still get your adorable little ducky card. And that's a German scrap piece that I glued on there. I bought that at an antique mall. I got a bunch of sets. And this, if you saw the other video, I think it was yesterday's video actually, I said that I thought I had something that I pulled that I wanted to make tabs with, but I couldn't come up with it, and this is what it was. So I did use that a couple times in each journal, I think. They're really fun. I've had them a long time. On this page, I glued down one of the colorful lottery tickets, and it's tall, so I just let it stick up. And this is a digital Tammy doll. I thought she was fun to tuck in there. And another digital. Could use that as an arrow somewhere. And a Monopoly Waterworks card. Tiny doily again, and that's the same one. Bottle of ink from that stamp set, and I just rubbed a couple different colors on it and tucked in some Monopoly money and a coupon. I think in the first journal I just glued it down so it's not a tuck spot, but in this one I figured I had room to make it a tuck spot, so why didn't I? Should have done it in the first one. On this is the Girl Scout autograph page, and it's got another Monopoly money and German scratch. A vintage milk bottle cap, that's genuine, and some vintage rickrack. And on the back of the paper coaster, I glued Monopoly money. You can write on that. The paper coaster is kind of like napkin. It had a plastic liner. Where'd it go? Oh, right here. Which I removed. And then it has a couple plies of the paper like a napkin does. And this one is coming apart. So I'm going to apply a little glue. And not glue it. Oh, I did glue it. Well, I'm just going to let it be glued to the page. I don't want to tear it. Well, that's what it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be glued to the page. But the plies were coming apart. That's the problem. Alright, it's fixed. And then we have the pocket over here with the Reading Railroad card and a Candyland game card. And a little digital bunny, because he's so cute. I had said I might keep one of these books, and I haven't decided. Well, I actually said I was going to keep one. But now I'm not sure. I will make that decision. Because these are going to be listed in my shop this evening at 6 p.m. When you see this, and that would be Friday, September 1st, actually. This is a stamp from one of those Elizabeth Craft Design stamps, and this is a digital from the office supplies where I got the crayons. On this signature, there's two signatures. Lost my place. I had stamped this crayon box and I colored that in with my markers, my Stampin' Up! Markers. And I glued it to the scrapbook paper. It's a little pocket. Tucked a couple of tickets and a lottery ticket, another colorful one. I love the colors on this. And there's a little spot for writing on the back. I'm holding it up so that you can see it better. I hope it helps. Another Monopoly piece and Monopoly money and a little stamped label thing you can use anywhere you want. There's a colorful lottery ticket and another one of those cards. This is another game score pad, score sheet. This is a stamped and embossed piece that I had that I used there instead of washi tape. I think this card is from The Princess and the Pea, because there is a card where she's on the mattresses and it looks like pea pods up there. It is Princess something. This is a vintage mailing label, which is unusual because it's not blue and red, it's brown and rust. I love it. I have a booklet of them. Some dyed paper was a scrap, and another one of those, whatever these are, I don't know what they are. I got them from the Paper Basket, I think, on Etsy several years ago. Here's a bingo paper, and I just added this piece from the office digital and backed it with yellow paper. Put this sticker on it. There's another German scrap piece. This is wrapping paper back here. And another sticky note, has flowers on the other side, you'll see. And a beverage label. A tally card. Isn't she pretty? I did have to trim a little bit off her, I believe. Off the card. There's the other side of that sticky note. That's the wrapping paper. And another Candyland card with ice cream, Neapolitan ice cream. And this is one off a little tablet that I just got at the thrift stores that I went to. And washi tape up there because it was a sticky pad. German scrap. She's really cute. And this is a digital claim check, and that's a digital. And it's a tiny, very narrow pocket, so I just cut a strip of dyed paper that you can write on. And there's rickrack there, vintage rickrack. Here's the shipping label. These are digital circles or some sort of labels. They're all different sorts. This is a Portland cement. There were a bunch of different Portland cement labels. And this is a fair, good for one fair, and game score sheet. Here I used a Candyland card, and this is the part of a beverage label that would go on the neck of the bottle. I think it's Canada Dry. And there's a ticket tucked in there. 2 tickets. And this is a florist hang tag. I've had them for a long time. Got a big bag of them at the flea market years ago. I put some journaling paper on the back, and this is a genuine vintage bottle cap. I did have a paper clip on here, but it kept falling off. So apparently it's not going to work. So let's put this one on. Well, I will put a paper clip on there. Whatever one I can get to work on that, I'll put it on. I don't know why it's so hard. But there's that one. So let's quickly just flip through this one. I won't talk because, unless I have to, because it's all pretty much the same. This one has a little bulldog on the charm. These rings, I bought a bunch of them. They were in a bag of buttons or something, and they were a bunch of these all tied together. And there's a little bunny and another license plate. This one is New York. Little piece of trim there. So probably should have done that. Oh, I did. I used that instead. This one, you can't read the whole thing on because it's folded, but it says cookin' wears out. No, kissin' wears out, cookin' don't. Cookery don't, I guess. Brummetown musicians. That's glued down. Is it? Yeah, it's supposed to be glued down. Love this little girl too. She came from the same craft book. So she could be going to school with her coat and purse and bringing flowers for the teacher. Has the same digital receipt tucked in. And this little stamped quote, having an artistic blast. I hope when you work in this little book, you are having an artistic blast. I was when I made it. I backed her with some printed cardstock. Another German scrap. This one did get sewn into the middle. Lottery ticket, and this time I had the pocket on the inside, which makes it a little difficult to get these out. So on the second one, I put the opening on the other side, but just a scrap of dyed paper here, and the little Sunbeam Girl digital. Remember Sunbeam bread? It might have been East Coast or even Northeast Coast. I associate it with Stroman's, which is where my husband worked when we first got married. But I think maybe it was Stroman's Sunbeam bread, and now it's not even Stroman's anymore, it's Bimbo. They have a bakery factory right here in this town. Lots of spaces for writing, even though it's a tiny journal. Here's a vintage milk bottle cap for chocolate milk. I know when I went to school and we got the little cartons of milk, I always got chocolate milk because I grew up on a farm and we didn't have pasteurized milk. We drank the raw milk, and I didn't like pasteurized milk, but I could drink it if it was chocolate. Rickrack and tickets. And here is a Candyland piece and a little digital rose. I just got out my digital ephemera and grabbed pieces to use throughout the journal, and that was really fun to do. Again, a lottery ticket and some pink tickets in here. These pieces are so little, they're hard to hold on to. Love that little hedgehog. And there's a little card in the middle. So beautiful. I hate using these cards. This is 1942. The little cards they're just so cute. I love them. And I don't have a ton of them, but this is a perfect place to use them. This is something I had stamped and didn't use. Be yourself, everyone else is already taken. And I thought it was perfect, the color and everything. It's another one of those green folded note cards. Note papers, I mean. There's a little toy, and that's from the German scrap. 2 digital pieces here. Here's a digital picture wheel and a digital arrow. And inside, this flaps open, you can write on it, but it's a little pocket. And it has another one of those tags and a digital card. More rickrack. Oh, this is supposed to have this crayon box attached to it, so I'll do that too. It's not attached. These all come off. They're just paper clipped on. I left the flap, the back flap on this, and reinforced it with cardstock, patterned cardstock, and then put fabric over it. There's a video showing how I put these crayon box journals, how I made the covers. You can see the video for that. Oh, I wanted to ask if you purchase any of these journals, would you want the contents? Because I have the crayons. I can send the crayons with the crayon boxes and the Jackstraw pieces, little plastic pieces, and their little hook. I never played Jackstraws. I guess it's sort of like pickup sticks. But I could send the contents with the corresponding box if you want. So here's the Jackstraw box, and this measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/4, and I left the spine, the side of the box on as the spine, so it's just got one signature, and it's 3/4 of an inch, the spine is. But again, it has the eyelet and the bulb pin, which holds some dangles. I put this on upside down. It's one of the Jackstraw pieces, and I thought because of the ladder rung I could just hook it on there. I'll flip that around so it's right side up. And there's a little blue banjo. I think it's a Cracker Jack toy or something. And a little froggy. Has the picture on both the front and the back. I put a little trim on the front, that's vintage. And I like this little piece that should have been poked out but wasn't. It's perforated here and it's got the hole in it, but I like that it's still there. Covered it with this pretty fabric, and I saved the other side of the box and folded it here just to give a nice reinforcement to the front edge. So here is a digital image and some tickets and this game card. And I stuck a couple of the skinny, like flatter Jackstraw pieces in here, just for fun. Scrapbook paper. Has a lot of the same things, but it's different because there's more room on these pages and it has fewer pages. Today's forecast: crafting with no chance of house cleaning or cooking. Love that. There's a little vintage slide. And this came from a Publix grocery store, which there's no Publix around here, so I'm not sure where I got this. It might have been a Happy Mail. And it's just a part of a card. Please use reusable bags. The planet will thank you, it says. And this is a florist insert card, inclusion card. Dyed paper. And I was able to put a seed packet in here because these pages are big enough for that. A little digital finger pointing and digital, or stamped. No, these are both stamped. Vintage paper here. There's a crooked game card. It was nice to use make something slightly bigger so I could use some of the bigger things. They're all still small, but I still had room to put something slightly bigger, like this game card, or playing card. So in this one I used quite a few stamped images that I had stamped and cut out. This is from a paper doll book, and that's wrapping paper. You could glue her on as a tuck spot, but I just clipped her on here so you can do what you want. And there's a little label on this side, a stamped label. A vintage milk bottle cap, a lottery ticket. It's the one that has a little bit of pinkish purple around it, but I glued it with this part on facing out so you could write on it. Tucked in, this book belongs to here, a digital. Everything in this pocket is digital. I'm sorry if you can hear the lawnmower, my neighbor. Here's another piece from the office supplies, and I really liked this image, so I moved it up so that the top would stick off a little bit. This one doesn't have as much sticking out because it's a bigger book, and this isn't even sticking up beyond the cover, but I like it the way it is, and I made it a belly band, and it has one of those amateur radio log pages. It has some writing on the back and this little digital piece. Another little digital piece for Stewart's Lemonade. And a vintage card. I could use a bit of a bigger one in here. It's an Easter card. This is the other side of that bingo paper. I glued this to it, so you can write on that. You can write on the back of it. And then another of the dolls with her little doll. And this is just a digital. I love the color with this. And a digital ticket. Another stamped piece. This is a little scrap of the Tim Holtz film strip. Made a diagonal pocket here with a little stamped label you can write on. Here's a lottery ticket. You can do what you want with it or just use it as a journal card. And the crayons, I didn't color this one. Just tucked it in there for you to play with. For you to play with. This is a digital. And this is all just glued down. This is a stamped flower border, digital piece, and just a dyed scrap of paper. And this one is a tally card that I glued to the bingo paper, and I don't think I did it right because I wanted you to be able to write on that. But you could glue a little piece of paper here and use that to write on. That's a digital paintbrush. It's the back of that lettuce seed packet. And this is a sticker, I think from the antiquarian sticker book. And I glued it to cardstock. Tucked in this digital peanut can. And a Farkle game score sheet. And another little digital girl with a digital tag and a lottery ticket. On the back, I used one of the office supply pieces as a pocket and put in this digital. I might trim it a little bit, make it an easier fit. This digital, also from the office supplies. These, like I said, that sheet came from Rare Paper Digitals on Etsy. This adorable little card, I just had to include him or her. And this stamped piece. So there we go. I'll have to put my little signature label in the backs of these with my name on it. But these are all done, and they will be, at least 2 of them will be in my shop at 6 p.m. Friday, September 1st, and maybe all 3 of them. Tell me what you think about this fun little project, these tiny little journals. And I'll be back with the next video very soon. Have a creative day today. Bye.